I think it's ridiculous.
Why?
Why are they charging 10 cents for a bag?
In her clean, uncluttered apartment, Singer can fit all of her trash from the past 5 months into this mason jar.
Our streets will be so clean that you'll be able to eat warm ice cream from the sidewalks, and that's not an exaggeration.
I think that we can write one thing, but what we're willing to let go of kind of tells a little bit more about us.
Good morning and welcome to CUNY TV. I'm Minda Smiley.
And I'm Tiana Freelon. Today we're talking trash in New York City, literally from trash art to living trash free. We'll also visit a Queens community that has received citywide recognition for its clean streets.
Each day, 13,000 tons of garbage and recyclables are collected by the Department of Sanitation. But garbage isn't the only thing piling up on sidewalks. New Yorkers throw away almost 2,000 tons of plastic bags every week. Tiana Freelon breaks down the city's plastic bag problem and its plan to fix it.
New York's plastic bag problem is in plain sight. They overflow in trash cans, they stick in trees, and you can even find them at the beach. And when Eric Shaw went surfing last spring at Rockaway Beach, he encountered more than just waves.
I surf, and I was out in Rockaway, and I was actually paddling through plastic trash in the water. And I thought, you know, we've kind of come to that point where somebody needs to do something.
So Eric took his own advice and created an internet petition to ban single-use plastic bags in New York City. It amassed almost 10,000 signatures in just under a week.
You know, they've done the whole let's recycle them, and I can show you like some of the recycling bins where they have them available. No one recycles. So instead, we have all these wasted bags.
The numbers are staggering. New Yorkers use 5 billion plastic bags annually. In 2008, plastic bags accounted for 1,700 tons of trash each week. New York spends $10 million a year to transport 100,000 tons of plastic bags to other states. The momentum is building for New York to confront its plastic bag problem. And the New York City Council is considering a bill that will require consumers to pay 10 cents for paper and plastic bags. Consumers have mixed reactions to the proposed fee.
I think it's ridiculous.
Why?
Why are they charging 10 cents for a bag? Much money you spend in the store, it should be free.
You know, we use bags that we already have. So, I mean, I guess I kind of feel like I'm kind of maybe being more conscious of the environment.
But New York won't be the first city to charge a fee for plastic or paper bags. Washington, D.C. charges 5 cents per bag, and Los Angeles banned plastic bags. There, consumers must pay 5 cents for paper bags.
We've seen really good results as far as changes in consumer behavior out of Washington, D.C., where there was about at least a 60% drop in the amount of single-use bags used.
The American Progressive Bag Alliance says that 30,000 people who work in the industry will be affected. And besides, recycling of plastic bags is increasing.
But I do use my bags for garbage, so they get recycled by the super. Lucky super, I guess.
The American Progressive Bag Alliance released a statement that said this proposed ordinance would drive up the cost of already expensive groceries for New Yorkers. But driving up the cost of bags is exactly what the bill aims to do. The goal? To encourage consumers to make a conscious decision or think twice before they use a plastic or paper bag. This is Tiana Freelon in New York City. Manhattan produces more garbage than any other borough, but it's the only borough that doesn't dispose of its own trash. Reporter Therese Chen made a trip to the Upper East Side, where there's a controversial plan to put a waste transfer station.
The planned construction of a garbage transfer station on the Upper East Side is drawing a lot of environmental concern from local residents.
There will be hundreds and hundreds of trucks going there on a daily basis, up a ramp that has still to be constructed wider, and they will produce a lot of fumes and pollution that will add only to all the pollution that's already there from the very, very heavy traffic.
I think it's horrible. I think it's detrimental, and I think it serves no purpose for this area that's been primarily designated for small children, the youth, and teenagers.
The 91st Street Marine Transfer Station, or MTS, is a part of New York City's solid waste management plan that was passed in 2006. One of the plan's main goals is to achieve borough equity, which requires each borough to dispose of its own garbage. Currently, Manhattan is the only borough that has no waste transfer station. Newtown Creek in Queens has the most, with 19. Rebecca Bradspees, an environmental law professor at CUNY, calls the situation an environmental injustice.
Whether it was on purpose or happened through a lack of attention, the overwhelming majority of the waste transfer stations are collected in a couple of communities, which means that they bear burdens for the rest of the city. These communities tend to be already challenged with other polluting activities, which makes their environmental quality very poor. They're very high asthma rates, very high rates of cardiovascular disease, and other kinds of health effects associated with heavy truck traffic and high pollutant loads.
Some, however, doubt that building a transfer station in Manhattan will solve the problem. Asphalt Green, a recreation center right next to the 91st Street site, is one of the opposition groups. Board member Kirsten Feldman says the solution should be improving the existing transfer stations, not building new ones.
There is nothing in the current solid waste management plan, there's not a dollar that goes to help the communities that already have a lot of the transfer stations. There's a lot of new technology in pollution controls that can be put on those existing transfer stations. So we think that money should go to actually solving problems in communities where they occur, so they have real solutions to problems, not symbolic solutions.
In New York City, 12,000 tons of residential garbage is generated each day. The new 91st Street site will handle only about 4% of it. But advocates say it's a first step toward their goal of requiring each borough to manage its own trash. Cherise Chen, Manhattan.
Despite the massive amounts of trash produced at the city daily, one New York blogger has made it a mission to live a trash-free life by recycling everything she can. The average New Yorker throws out and recycles more than 3 pounds of trash every day. But not Lauren Singer. Singer recently started working for the Department of Environmental Protection and has been working towards living a trash-free life for over a year now. She chronicles her life without trash on her blog, Trash is for Tossers.
It wasn't like, boom, I'm zero waste. It was more gradual than that. Like I started making my own skincare. Like I started buying all my food in bulk.
Singer says she saves money by making products, like her lotion, from natural ingredients because she doesn't have to pay for packaging and name brands.
I used to dread having to go to the store and like buy lotion and my face wash and everything, and like making it makes my life so much easier because the time that it takes to do this is like the time that it would take to walk one way to the store. So people ask me all the time, like, is this inconvenient to make your own products or live this lifestyle? And I really think it adds a lot of time to my life and my day. It's also really just fulfilling to make your own stuff.
In her clean, uncluttered apartment, Singer can fit all of her trash from the past 5 months into this mason jar. She buys very little perishable food when she goes shopping to make sure none of it goes to waste, and she composts things like banana peels, eggshells, and coffee grinds.
Even my hair, you can compost hair. So, I have a lot of thick hair and it falls out everywhere, so it makes it really easy.
She also cuts back by storing everything in glass mason jars instead of using plastic. She cuts back on waste even more by doing things like making homemade Band-Aids out of reusable cotton rounds. Many of these tips are found on her blog.
So I started the blog to have people see what I do and take from it what they want or not. So just make it in a really presentable way, and hopefully, they'll get something out of it, but if not, at least they're thinking about it for 5 seconds.
Take pride in your community by keeping it clean. That's the message one Queens neighborhood is sending. Pearl Masick brings us the story.
Volunteers gather on Woodside Avenue every Saturday morning with one mission in mind.
We're trying to show that in Woodside, that a working class community has first class values, that our streets will be so clean that you'll be able to eat warm ice cream from the sidewalk.
At 9 a.m. sharp, Rosasco and his team of volunteers set off to remove trash and graffiti from some of the busiest streets. The Woodside Neighborhood Association started 4 years ago to improve the appearance of the area.
You see improvements all over this because of himself and his followers, you know.
Storefronts on Roosevelt Avenue and surrounding parks are slowly being revitalized after several planting and greening projects. Despite the support that the group now receives, initially gathering community support for the association wasn't an easy task.
You always have one or two naysayers, but the vast majority now stop in the street and have a conversation. I mean, isn't that the beginning of everything?
Many business owners in the area are grateful for the positive changes they see.
Especially you know, with the fire hydrants, you know, he tried to clean all those graffitis and all the, you know, the subways there. As you can see, Woodside really changed a lot now since David started this project.
Nearby in Sunnyside, Queens, a business improvement district, or BID, called Sunnyside Shines, also helps keep their neighborhood clean. The shopping hub has seen a ton of beautification efforts since the BID was established in 2008.
Prior to the BID coming in, the streets in Sunnyside were lacking in cleanliness, if you will. There was a lot of garbage. The sanitation department will only do what's in their budget.
Many BIDs are established to provide extra sanitation and cleaning services that aren't covered by the city, but it comes with a cost. Higher taxes that business owners don't want to pay. Woodside doesn't have a BID, but Rosasco and his team say that isn't a problem.
The only thing we don't do these days is lay asphalt and concrete. We're doing all the other work that keeps this community in good order.
In November of last year, the Woodside Neighborhood Association was honored by the Parks Department for its work. But it's not the recognition that keeps them going. It's their pride in what they have accomplished on their own. In Queens, I'm Pearl Masek.
What do coffee stirrers and rusty steel have in common? Look closely and you might see them as works of art. In Queens and Staten Island, two artists are finding creative ways to reuse discarded items. Layla Falls has the story.
You probably can't guess what all this is made of. Two New York artists have found a way to recycle items most of us don't look twice at before throwing away.
These holes here are just, they're lengths of straw that I just chopped up from,
Philip Cobell builds sci-fi buildings and miniature landscapes for gamers and hobbyists out of discarded materials.
You go into these places and you say, like, listen, if you're gonna throw these things out, can you set them aside for me?
Cobell now uses everyday discarded items such as plastic plants and candle stands to create kingdoms of art.
There's a huge vacuum of landscape design for these games. I've discovered with the application of paint, anything becomes really cool. It transforms from a pile of rocks or like some styrofoam with some glue on it and sand to like this amazing landscape. I don't know if I've ever looked at what I'm doing as like consciously recycling things. Like I keep hearing the term like upcycling. I just look at it as taking free materials and making beautiful stuff.
According to City University of New York professor David Joslett, using found items as art was a historical method that continues on today.
The use of found objects in one way or another, not always trash specifically, is a very widespread strategy. It's almost as widespread as using photography as a tool within works of art.
Another artist created art from a disaster. New York City spent $177 million to remove debris from Hurricane Sandy. Kevin Mahoney was taking a plasma cutting class at Makerspace, a community work area on Staten Island, where he practiced on Sandy-damaged steel. The debris sat in water for days, weeks, and even months after the storm.
When I got home from the class, I realized that the material doesn't need to be going to waste, and I can use that in some way to, raise money to replace materials and equipment that were lost in the storm.
When Mahoney started making cutouts in the shape of Staten Island from the steel, he found a way to give the material new life.
I view discarded things as being our historical record. I think that we can write one thing, but what we're willing to let go of kind of tells a little bit more about us.
Layla Falls, New York.
That's it for this edition of Talking Trash. I'm Kiratiana Freeline.
And I'm Minda Smiley. Thanks for joining us.